your power's out. The temperature's dropping to zero. And your furnace just gave up. What do you do? Well, the Amish have been handling winters like this for 300 years, without electricity, Wi-Fi, or even a space heater. And today, I'm giving you their 20 best winter hacks before the next big freeze hits. Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're watching this in late fall or early winter, you're smart, because when that polar vortex rolls in, most folks panic. But not the Amish. Living off-grid in places like Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Indiana, they've mastered staying warm, fed, and safe through brutal winters, using nothing but ingenuity, tradition, and a whole lot of wool. And the best part? You don't need to ditch your smartphone to use these tricks. In fact, these Amish winter survival tips could save your family hundreds on heating bills, or even keep you alive during a days-long power outage. So grab a blanket, pour some hot cocoa, and let's dive into the 20 Amish winter hacks every US family should know before a big freeze. Number 1. Use snow as insulation. Yeah, you heard that right. Snow isn't just something to shovel away. The Amish actually leave it on purpose. Especially on the north side of their homes, where cold winds hit hardest. They pile it up like a fluffy white wall, and that snow acts like a natural blanket for the house. It might sound backwards, but snow is full of tiny air pockets, which trap heat instead of letting it escape. Think of it like nature's version of foam board insulation, free, quiet, and surprisingly effective. While most of us rush to clear every flake off our driveways and walkways, the Amish know that a thick layer of snow around the foundation can actually keep the inside warmer. It slows down cold air from sneaking in through cracks and gaps in the walls or floor. And since snow is light and porous, it doesn't add dangerous weight like ice would. They're not burying the whole house, just using strategic drifts where it helps. Even if you're not Amish, you can borrow this trick. After a big snowfall, leave a foot or two along the windward side of your home, as long as it's not blocking vents or windows. It costs nothing, takes zero electricity, and could shave a few degrees off your heating bill. Plus, it's kind of satisfying to let nature do the work while you stay cozy inside with a mug of something hot. Number 2. Hang thermal curtains. The old school way. You don't need fancy store-bought curtains to keep your home warm. The Amish have been using a simpler, smarter trick for generations. At night, they hang thick wool blankets or homemade quilted fabric over their windows. It's not about looks, it's about stopping heat from leaking out. Windows are one of the biggest sources of heat loss in any house, especially older ones. But a heavy curtain acts like a cozy shield, trapping warm air inside. Studies show this can cut heat loss by up to 25%. That's like turning your thermostat up a few degrees without spending a dime on fuel. And here's the best part. Many Amish families sew these curtains themselves during the summer months, when the days are long and the weather's mild. They use scraps of wool, old quilts, or even repurposed feed sacks, lined with fabric. No electricity needed, just needle thread and a little time. You don't have to be a master seamstress to try this. An old comforter, a thick moving blanket, or even a clean wool army surplus blanket can work in a pinch. Just hang it snugly over the window frame before bed, and take it down in the morning to let sunlight in. It's low-tech, budget-friendly, and shockingly effective. On the coldest nights, that extra layer might be the difference between shivering under 3 blankets and actually sleeping soundly. Plus, there's something comforting about wrapping your home in handmade warmth, like a hug for your whole house. Number 3. Heat rocks, not rooms. The Amish don't waste heat trying to warm up an entire house. Instead, they focus on warming people, and they do it with rock. Smooth, dense stones like soapstone or river rocks are placed near the wood stove until they're hot to the touch. Then they wrap them in thick cloth or tuck them into wool socks. These heated rocks become portable warmth packets. Toss one at the foot of your bed, and it'll stay warm for hours long after the fire's died down. Some families even place them under blankets while sitting in the evening, turning a chilly room into a personal comfort zone. It's smart, safe, as long as the rock isn't cracked, and uses heat that would otherwise vanish up the chimney. Unlike electric heating pads or space heaters, these rocks need no power, no cords, and no batteries. Just fire, stone, and a little know-how. And if you don't have a wood stove, you can gently heat clean dry rocks in a campfire or even a regular oven. Just never use wet or porous stones, as they can crack or explode. The key is using dense, non-flaking rock that holds rock heat well. This old-school trick turns something as simple as a backyard stone into a silent, steady source of warmth all night long. No wonder Amish kids grow up sleeping like logs, even in freezing bedrooms. Number 4. Seal drafts with rolled towels or hay. Cold air sneaks in through the tiniest gaps, under doors, around windows, even through old floorboards. The Amish know you don't need expensive weather stripping to stop it. Their go-to fix? A simple rolled-up towel. They tuck it tight against the bottom of drafty doors, and just like that, icy gusts are blocked. It's instant free and works better than you'd think. In farmhouses or workshops, they sometimes go a step further and use bundles of dry straw or hay, stacked against a wall or doorframe. Hay acts like natural insulation, light, breathable, and surprisingly effective at slowing cold air, and since it's biodegradable, it can go right back into the garden or compost pile come spring. You don't need a barn full of hay to try this. An old bath towel, a yoga mat cut to size, or even a pool noodle slit down the middle and shoved under a door will do the trick. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Every little draft you stop means your body stays warmer, your blankets work better, and your heating system, or wood stove, doesn't have to work as hard. On a windy winter night, that humble towel might be the quiet hero, keeping your toes from going numb. It's not glamorous, but it's real, it's ready, and it costs absolutely nothing. Number 5. Bake bread to heat your kitchen. The Amish don't just bake bread to eat, they bake it to warm the house. On cold mornings, they fire up the wood stove and slide in loaves of sourdough, rye, or hearty whole wheat. While the bread rises and bakes, the oven radiates steady, gentle heat into the kitchen. Long after the loaves come out, the stove stays warm, turning the whole room into a cozy gathering spot. It's a 2-for-1 win, fresh food and free heat. And it's not just bread, they'll simmer big pots of soup, stew dried beans, or roast root vegetables, all in the same session. The steam, the warmth, the smell of baking, it all adds comfort when it's freezing outside. Even better, this method uses fuel efficiently. Instead of heating an empty oven for a tiny casserole, they fill it completely, getting maximum warmth from every log. You don't need a wood stove to borrow this idea. On a gas or electric range, cooking a big pot of chili or baking a batch of muffins still puts more heat into the room than leaving the oven idle. Just keep the oven door closed while it's on, and let the warmth spread naturally. In an Amish home, the kitchen isn't just where meals happen, it's the heart of the house in winter, and with a warm loaf on the counter and frost on the window, that heart beats strong. Number 6. Store veggies in a root cellar or a cooler basement. The Amish don't rely on freezers or fridges to keep their food fresh all winter. Instead, they use root cellars, cool, dark, underground rooms that stay just above freeze. Potatoes, carrots, beets, apples and cabbages can last for months down there, crisp and ready to eat. The secret? Stable temperature and high humidity. No electricity needed, just earth, stone, and smart design. But you don't need a full cellar to copy this trick. Even a cool corner of your basement, a shaded garage, or an insulated closet can work. Line a plastic bin with damp sand, bury your root veggies in it, and keep it in the coldest part of your home. The sand holds moisture, preventing shriveling, while the cool air slows spoilage. Some Amish families even use old refrigerators, with the power off, as mini root cellars in their basements. Just add a thermometer to monitor temps. The goal is to stay between 32 F. On a practical note, this cuts grocery bills, reduces food waste, and means you've always got real food on hand, even during snowstorms. Plus, there's something deeply satisfying about pulling a bright orange carrot from the sand in January and knowing it's been sleeping peacefully since harvest. No plastic wrap, no buzzing freezer, just simple quiet storage the way nature intended. Number 7. Ferment everything. When the Amish want to preserve cabbage, cucumbers, or even dairy through the long winter, they don't reach for a canner or freezer, they reach for a crock and some salt. Fermentation is their secret weapon. They shred cabbage, pack it tight with salt in a stoneware jar, weigh it down, and let time do the rest. In a few days, it becomes tangy, crunchy sauerkraut, packed with probiotics and good for months without refrigeration. Same goes for pickles, beets, and even sourdough starters. The natural bacteria do all the work, creating an acidic environment that keeps bad microbes out. No electricity, no fancy gear, just clean jars, salt, water, and patience. And it's not just about saving food, it's about boosting health. Fermented foods support digestion, immunity, and gut balance, which matters even more when fresh produce is scarce. Best of all, it's cheap. A head of cabbage and a tablespoon of salt can feed a family for weeks. You don't need to be Amish to try this. Start small. Slice cucumbers, toss them in saltwater brine, and leave them on the counter for 3 to 5 days. Taste it, you'll be hooked. In a world of plastic-wrapped, shelf-stable junk, fermentation brings food back to life. And in the dead of winter, that fizz, that crunch, that sour bite, it's like sunshine in a jar. Number 8. Keep water from freezing with a jug of salt water. In the dead of winter, even stored water can freeze solid, especially in sheds, barns, or unheated cabins. The Amish have a clever fix that costs nothing: a sealed jug of salt water. They fill a sturdy plastic bottle or glass jar with water and a few tablespoons of salt, screw the lid on tight, and drop it into their water bucket or storage container. Salt water has a lower freezing point than fresh water, so it stays liquid longer, even below as it moves slightly in the cold. It helps keep the surrounding fresh water from turning into ice. It's not magic, it's basic science, but it works surprisingly well for small-scale needs, like animal troughs or emergency drinking water. And because the salt water is sealed inside its own container, it doesn't mix with or contaminate the clean water. No electricity, no heater, no cords, just a simple, passive trick that buys you precious time during a deep freeze. Some Amish families even keep a few of these jugs ready in winter, rotating them as needed. You can try it tonight. Grab an old juice bottle, add salt, seal it, and toss it in your outdoor water container. It won't stop freezing forever, but it might just keep your water liquid through the coldest night, when every drop counts. Number 9. Cook big batches, once a week. The Amish don't cook dinner every night, they cook for the week in one go. On a designated stove day, usually when the wood stove is already hot for heating, they make huge pots of soup, beans, stew, and bread all at once. It saves fuel, time, and effort. Why fire up the stove 7 times when once will do? The meals are hearty, simple, and store beautifully in crocks or covered pots in a cool pantry or cellar. Come mealtime, they just reheat a portion on the stove or over a candle warmer. This batch cooking habit means less stress, less waste, and more consistent warmth radiating from the kitchen all week long. Plus, leftovers taste even better the next day. You don't need a wood stove to use this hack. Pick one day, maybe Sunday, and cook a big pot of chili, a tray of roasted veggies, or a double batch of rice and beans. Portion it out, store it in the fridge or freezer, and you've got ready-to-go meals for the coldest, busiest day. It cuts down on last-minute takeout, saves money, and keeps your kitchen warm longer. In Amish homes, this rhythm creates calm in the chaos of winter. No frantic cooking, no empty cupboards, just steady, satisfying food that feeds both body and peace of mind. Number 10. Use animal heat. The Amish know that warmth isn't just for people, it's shared. In many traditional farmsteads, small animals like chickens, rabbits, or even goats are kept in sheds or pens attached to the main house or just steps away. Their body heat may seem minor, but it adds up. A coop full of clucking hens can raise the temperature in an adjacent storage room or mudroom by several degrees, enough to keep tools from freezing or prevent canned goods from cracking in the cold. Some families even design their barns with shared walls, so the gentle warmth from livestock drifts toward living or working spaces. It's not about bringing animals into the bedroom, it's about smart placement. That extra few degrees can mean the difference between a space that's barely usable and one that's functional during a deep freeze. And it's a two-way benefit. The animals stay safer and calmer near human activity, while people get a subtle, free heat boost. You don't need a farm to borrow this idea. Even a well-insulated doghouse near a garage wall or a rabbit hutch in a covered porch can create a microclimate of warmth. It's nature's original space heater, quiet, renewable, and always on. In the Amish view, nothing goes to waste, not even body heat. Number 11. Wool is non-negotiable. When winter hits, the Amish reach for one thing above all: wool. Not polyester, not fleece. Real, honest-to-goodness wool. From socks to long underwear, to vests and caps, wool is their go-to fabric, and for good reason. It traps heat even when wet, unlike cotton, which soaks up moisture and leaves you chilled. Ever worn cotton socks in the snow? You know that icy, clammy feeling. Wool avoids that entirely. It wicks sweat away, insulates like a dream, and lasts for years, even decades with proper care. Amish kids wear wool long johns under their clothes all winter. Adults layer wool vests under aprons or coats. And at night, thick wool blankets on the bed. They often spin, dye, and sew their own wool garments in warmer months, so they're ready when the first frost arrives. You don't need to raise sheep to use this hack. Thrift stores, army surplus shops, and online marketplaces are full of affordable wool sweaters, socks, and blankets. Just check the label. Aim for at least 70% wool. On a freezing night, a pair of wool socks and a wool hat can keep you comfortable in a room that's 10 degrees colder than usual. That's not just comfort, that's real energy savings. For the Amish, wool isn't old-fashioned, it's essential, and once you've felt its warmth, you'll understand why they never skip it. Number 12. Layer like an onion, with purpose. The Amish don't just throw on a coat and call it good. They dress in layers carefully, thoughtfully, like an onion. But it's not just about piling on clothes, it's about how those layers work together. They start with a wool base layer next to the skin, long underwear that wicks moisture and holds heat. Over that goes a flannel shirt or a thick cotton knit top, which traps warm air. Then comes a wool vest or sweater for extra insulation. And finally a windproof outer layer like a heavy coat or oilcloth jacket. The key? They leave a tiny bit of space between each layer. That gap is where warm air collects, and still air is one of the best insulators there is. Too tight, and you crush those warm pockets. Too loose, and cold wind sneaks in. The Amish get it just right through years of practice. They also avoid zippers or tight cuffs that cut off circulation. Cold hands and feet often come from restricted blood flow, not just low temps, and they adjust as they go. Shed a layer when working outside, add one when sitting still. You don't need Amish clothing to copy this, just rethink how you dress. Skip the single thick hoodie. Instead, mix thin, breathable fabrics that build warmth together. On a bitter morning, this smart layering might be the reason you stay warm walking to the mailbox, while your neighbor shivers in a puffy jacket that's lost its loft. It's simple, silent, and smarter than most high-tech winter gear. Number 13. Sleep in a bed tent. On freezing nights, the Amish don't crank the heat, they shrink the space they need to warm. Many families drape heavy quilts, canvas tarps, or even simple bed curtains around their beds to create a small, enclosed tent. This traps body heat right where it's needed, around the sleep. Instead of trying to heat a whole bedroom that might dip into the 40s, they create a microclimate that stays in the 60s, just from their own warmth. It's like sleeping in a cozy cocoon. The fabric doesn't need to be fancy. Old quilts, wool blankets, or even repurposed grain sacks work perfectly. Some Amish beds even have built-in frames or hooks to hang the covers quickly at night and pull them back in the morning. The effect is immediate, less shivering, deeper sleep, and no need for electric blankets or extra firewood. You don't need a 4-poster bed to try this. Drape a thick blanket over a tension rod at the head of your bed, or clip fabric to the ceiling with binder clips. Even a pop-up camping pod around a mattress can mimic the idea. In a power outage or deep freeze, this simple barrier can make a cold room feel survivable, maybe even comfortable. It's not about luxury, it's about using what you have to hold on to every bit of warmth your body creates. And sometimes, that's all it takes to make it through the longest, coldest night. Number 14. Wear a knit cap to bed. You've probably heard that you lose most of your body heat through your head. The Amish take that seriously, even at bedtime. On cold winter nights, it's common to see adults and children alike slip on a simple wool knit cap before climbing under the covers. It might look funny, but it works. Your head is packed with blood vessels close to the skin, and without insulation, it radiates heat fast, especially when you're lying still for hours. A snug wool cap slows that loss dramatically, and because wool insulates even when damp, from nighttime sweat or breath, it stays effective all night long. Many Amish families knit these caps in the fall, using leftover yarn or repurposed sweaters. They're plain, practical, and often handed down or shared among siblings. You don't need a handmade one to benefit. Any close-fitting beanie made of wool, fleece, or even thick cotton will help. Just pull it on before bed during a cold snap or power outage. It's a tiny change that can make a big difference, turning restless, chilly sleep into something deeper and warmer. In a room that's barely above freezing, that little cap might be the quiet reason you wake up refreshed, instead of stiff and shivering. For the Amish, it's not about fashion, it's about holding on to every precious degree of warmth they've got. Number 15. Use hot water bottles. Amish style. Long before electric blankets, the Amish stayed warm in bed with a simple, steaming jar of water. They fill a sturdy glass bottle, often a reused canning jar, with hot, not boiling water, screw on the lid tight, and wrap it in a thick wool sock or cloth. Then, they tuck it under the covers at their feet or against their belly. The heat radiates slowly for hours, turning a cold bed into a warm nest. It's safe, reusable, and needs no electricity. Just hot water from the stove. Glass is preferred over plastic because it holds heat longer and doesn't leach chemicals. And since they're using jars they already have for canning, it costs nothing extra. Some families even keep 2 or 3 ready, one for each person, rotating them as needed through the night. You can easily copy this tonight. Fill a clean mason jar with hot tap water, test the lid for leaks, wrap it in a sock, and slide it into your bed 10 minutes before you get in. It's gentler than a heating pad, quieter than a space heater, and far more reliable during a power outage. On the coldest nights, that humble jar might be the difference between tossing and turning and drifting off into deep, peaceful sleep. For the Amish, it's not about high-tech comfort, it's about warmth you can hold in your hands and trust when the lights go out. Number 16. Share resources before you need to. The Amish don't wait for a crisis to ask for help. They build their safety net long before winter even starts. In the fall, families gather to split firewood, preserve food, and repair wagons or roofs together. They trade jars of applesauce for sacks of potatoes, share extra quilts, or loan out tools. This isn't just neighborly kindness, it's practical survival. When a blizzard hits and roads are buried, they already know who has extra kerosene, who's got a full root cellar, or whose woodpile is deep enough to share. Trust is built in calm times, so it's ready when chaos strikes. There's no formal system, just a quiet understanding that we take care of each other. You don't need a horse and buggy community to use this. Start small, swap phone numbers with a neighbor, organize a winter prep coffee chat, or offer to help someone stack wood in exchange for a few jars of homemade jam. Even a group text thread like Winter Watch can become a lifeline during outages. The key is acting before you're desperate, because when the power's out, the snow is waist high, and your kid has a fever, the person who shows up with a thermos of soup and a spare lantern isn't a stranger. They're the friend you helped rake leaves for back in October. For the Amish, community isn't a backup plan, it's the first line of defense. Number 17. Keep a winter kit by the door. The Amish believe in being ready before the storm hits, not scrambling when it's already here. That's why many keep a simple winter kit right by the back or mudroom door. It's not fancy, just a basket or wooden box with the essentials they might need in a hurry. Thick wool gloves, a knit hat, a scarf, wool socks, a reliable flashlight, a metal water bottle, and sometimes a small emergency blanket or hand warmers made from beeswax and cloth. Everything is dry, accessible, and ready to grab in seconds. Whether it's checking on animals at dawn, clearing a snow-clogged vent, or helping a neighbor, they never step outside unprepared. And because it's always in the same spot, even kids know where to find it. You can build your own version with things you likely already own. Use a tote bag, a plastic bin, or an old milk crate. Just keep it near your most used exit. Add a pair of slip-on boots or waterproof shoes underneath, and the goal isn't to survive the apocalypse, it's to handle the everyday winter emergencies without panic. A frozen pipe at midnight, a power outage during dinner, a stranded car down the road. With your kit ready, you respond calmly, quickly, and safely. For the Amish, preparation isn't about fear, it's about peace of mind and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you're never caught off guard by the cold. Number 18, go to bed early, rise with the sun. When winter days shrink to just a few hours of light, the Amish don't fight it. They follow it. They head to bed soon after sunset and wake with the first light of dawn. It's not just tradition, it's practical. Less time awake in the cold means less fuel burned for heat, less food needed for late-night snacks, and less strain on the body during the hardest season. Without electric lights buzzing all night, their homes grow quiet and dark early, signaling the body to rest. And because they're not scrolling on phones or watching TV, sleep comes easier and deep. Rising with the sun also means they make the most of precious daylight for chores, chopping wood, feeding animals or mending fences, while it's still light enough to see without lanterns. This rhythm syncs with nature, not the clock. You don't need to live off-grid to borrow grid. This habit, try dimming the lights after dinner, avoiding screens an hour before bed, and setting your alarm to match sunrise, even if you just enjoy a quiet morning cup of coffee by the window. On the coldest nights, crawling into bed at 8 p.m. might feel strange at first, but your body will thank you. You'll stay warmer, save energy, and wake up refreshed without needing a second cup of coffee. For the Amish, winter isn't about staying busy in the dark. It's about resting well, so you're strong when the light returns. Number 19. Sing, tell stories, play games. When the nights are long and the power's out, the Amish don't sit in silence. They gather close and make their own light with laughter, song, and stories. After supper, families often pull chairs near the stove, light a few oil lamps, and spend the evening singing hymns, sharing folk tales or playing simple card games like Rook or Dutch Blitz. There are no screens, no notifications, just voices, faces, and the crackle of the fire. This isn't just entertainment, it's emotional survival. Cold rooms feel warmer when you're laughing, dark hours feel shorter when someone's telling a story, and kids who grow up with this rhythm learn that joy doesn't need electricity. Music lifts spirits, stories pass down wisdom, and games build connection, all while bodies huddle together, sharing natural warmth. You don't need a hymn book or a deck of Amish cards to try this. Pull out an old board game, teach your kids a silly family story, or just take turns naming things you're grateful for. Light a candle, dim the overheads, and talk, really talk. On a night when the wind howls and the thermometer drops, that circle of shared humanity might be the warmest thing in the house. For the Amish, winter isn't endured, it's lived together, one song and story at a time. Number 20. Always have dry firewood, split and covered. For the Amish, firewood isn't just fuel, it's security, and they treat it like gold. Long before the first frost, their wood piles are ready, logs split into manageable pieces, stacked neatly off the ground, and covered tightly with tarps, or sheltered under a lean-to. Why? Because wet wood smokes, sputters, and barely burns, wasting precious time and effort when you need heat most. Dry, seasoned wood, on the other hand, lights fast, burns hot, and lasts longer. The Amish often cut and split wood in late winter or early spring, then let it cure all summer under cover. By fall it's ready, lightweight, crackling when struck, and perfect for the stove. They even test it by knocking two pieces together. A sharp, hollow clink means it's dry. A dull thud means it's still too wet. You don't need an acre of forest to use this. Even if you only burn wood occasionally, keep a small stash of dry split logs in a covered bin near your door. Elevate it on pallets or bricks to keep moisture out, and never stack it directly against your house. In a power outage or deep freeze, that reliable pile of dry wood could mean the difference between a warm kitchen and a cold, dark night. For the Amish, preparation isn't optional. It's the quiet foundation of winter peace, and it all starts with a well-tended woodpile, ready long before the snow flies. Now I know what you're thinking. This sounds like a lot of work, but here's the truth. Most of these hacks cost almost nothing. A rolled towel under the door, a wool sock filled with a hot water bottle, snow left to pile up like nature's insulation. These aren't complicated projects. They're simple, smart choices anyone can make. And in a world where one winter storm can knock out power for days, these traditional cold weather tricks aren't just old-fashioned. They're practical, proven, and powerful. You don't need to live off-grid or give up modern life to benefit. Just a little foresight and a willingness to learn from people who've weathered far worse winters than we have can keep your family safer, warmer, and more prepared. So before the next big freeze hits, pick 2 or 3 of these Amish hacks and try them out. Start with thermal curtains or the hot rock trick. Small steps make a big difference. And if this helped you, do me a quick favor. Hit like, drop a comment saying which hack you're trying first, and subscribe for more real-world wisdom. Next week, I'm showing how the Amish store food for years without a freezer. Stay warm, stay ready, and remember, sometimes the oldest ways are the wisest.